Welcome back to the channel. So today we will try to solve this users by average session time. It is a medium category problem and it was asked in Facebook coding interview, right? And we will solve this in Postgre, basically in SQL, right? So let's have a look at the input and output. So if we see in the input, we have only one table and we have users data, user ID, timestamp and action. Okay, so let's have a look at the output also. So in the output, if you see, we have only two columns. One is user ID and one is average, something average is there. So we will see like how we need to calculate this. Let's have a detailed view of the data over a console. Okay, so let me run this. Let's open this in a new tab. Okay, so we have this input data, user ID, timestamp and action. So we have multiple users. So if we see this data, we have only three user, right? 0, 1 and 2, right? These three unique users are there. And in the action, if we see, we have page load, scroll down, scroll up, page exit. These three, four unique values are there. And we have the timestamp also, right? Now let's have a look at the uh, problem statement. Calculate each user's average session time. Okay, so for each user, we need to calculate the average session time. So if we see in the output also, we have only two columns, that is user ID and average, right? And then a session is defined as the difference between a page load and the page exit. Okay, so see, like I am teaching based on the like my learnings and the tips and trick which I found while learning, right? So if we see, like whenever you see, we need to find the difference, summation and something like that. So there we can conclude that we need to generate two different column, right? The page load and the page exit. So this, like we can generate two different column, right? And here if you see, the each keyword is involved here, right? So whenever you see a each keyword, right? So understand that 90% of the time you will have to use the group by clause. Got it? For simplicity, assume a user has only one session per day. If there are multiple sessions of the same event on that day, consider only the latest page load and the earliest page exit. Okay, so if you see, I think we will have to like put the day, like we will have to extract the day from the timestamp and put in the group by clause. Why? Because for each user on each day, like we can have multiple events, right? And we need to find the average session duration. So that's why for each day, since we need to find like there can be multiple events on the same day, right? So if there are multiple events and we need to find the latest page load and earliest page exit, what does it mean? Which means that we can put the day in the group by clause and then for finding the latest page load, right? So what is the meaning of latest? Latest means we need to find the max, right? The max of page load, and then earliest means what? We can have the minimum of page load, right? And then for each user, and since the each user is involved, so we will have to put this max and min in a case when statement. Got it? Right? So like I'm trying to get the logic from the question itself, right? Output the user ID and the average time session. Okay, so we will have to generate these two columns. I hope the question is clear. So we know the steps. So first we will start with the group by clause, right? So we will put this user ID in the group by clause. So let's put that group by user ID. First thing is done, right? And we can have here the user ID. Let's print this. Okay, so we have three different user. What's next? So as I mentioned, we will have to like find the maximum of timestamp, right? Maximum of timestamp to get the to get the uh, to get the latest page load, and for getting the earliest page exit we will have to apply the min. So how we can segregate between the users? We will have to use the case when statement. Case when action is equal to page load. So whenever the action is page load, stem and right, and we can have here the max because we need to find the earliest, right, as page load, right. Second thing, we'll have to use the min of page exit, right. And here we can have exit. Let's run this. Okay, so for each user, now we have the like what was the latest page load and what was the latest page exit, and we will have to find the difference between these two columns. I hope you are getting right, because here we have been asked to find the difference. So whenever you see like something like the difference, right, so how we like if you consider like the SQL would be very easy if you consider like each and every problem, assume like try to visualize the thing, like if assume that it is a table, so how we can find the things easily, like calculation easily, if we generate the multiple columns, like for each statement try to figure out how we can generate multiple columns, right, so the calculation would be very easy for you. So here we have generated this page load and page exit column. What next? So as I mentioned, um, for each user we can have like on a particular day we can have multiple events, right. So that's why we will have to put in a group by clause, we will have to group the data based on day also. So for day, what we can do, we can use date part of, we can extract the day, and then day of what, timestamp, right, time stamp. Let's run this. Okay, so for each day we have like if you see this, here we had the multiple events on the same day for user 1 and then user 2 also. I hope you are getting right. And we have the maximum of each event, right? Okay, so what next? What next? So the end output we need is a difference between these two columns, right? So what we can do, let's do those things in the next step. So we can have this in the CT with CT as star from CT. Let's run this. Okay, I like ran it again. Okay, so let's order this, order by user ID. Okay, so if you see, we have this two records here, two record here, and for this user two, we do not have the exit time. Okay, that's fine. So as I mentioned, we need to generate the difference between the page load and the page exit, right? So what we can do, uh, and if you see here this part, with with an obvious restriction that the page load event should happen before the page exit time, right? So for this, what we for finding the difference, we can have like the page exit before the page time. So we can have page exit minus page load, right? Let's run this. Okay, let's take this as diff. Okay, so here if we see, we have the differences, right? So these two we have the difference of 82, these two we have difference of this, and in these two we have the difference of like if you see the difference in seconds, right? Here it is 0 0, here it is 35, so it is 35, here it is 0 0, here it is 35, that's why 35, right? Okay, so but we do not need to find the difference, simple difference, right? We need to find the average. So what we will do for finding the average, and for each user, so each user we will have to put group by clause, right? group by user ID, and then here also we will have to find right user ID, and we need to find the average. That's why it should be AVG, and here we can name this as AVG, right? Let's run this. Okay, now we have the required output. Okay, I have made a typo, AVG. Okay, now we have the required output. If we match it, I think it's same, right? But we have this additional column which we don't require into the output, right? So what we can do, we can have here the having clause. Having this average, this average, like for filtering the grouped data, we will have to use the having clause, right? Because this is the grouped data. This we computed by grouping the data or aggregating the data. So that's why we'll have to use the having. We cannot use the where clause, right? This should not be null. Is not null, right? Let's run this. Okay, I think this input and output is same, like what we have got and what was expected. So let's try submitting this. Yeah, we like this got accepted. So yeah, if you like this content, please do like, subscribe and share the channel. And for the same problem, we have the PySpark and the Pandas version. If you can find the link in the description section. Okay, so until then, bye. Let's meet in the next problem. Thank you.